another party video. This is party videos are my favorite to film and also the most exhausting, but they're always so worth it in the end. I always just, I love how they come out. We all had a great time. We really had fun with this one and I cannot wait to show you. I'll admit, after the last party video I filmed, which if you missed that, you definitely want to check it out. It was a whimsical blanket fort forest summer tea. It's a long title, but basically we made a blanket fort in a forest and had a tea party, and it was summertime and there were bubbles and it was fun. So you should definitely go check that out. After filming that video, I was pretty burnt out and I told myself that we weren't gonna do anymore. Lo and behold, here we are. It never fails. Give it a few weeks, the burnout starts to fade and all my little brain people are like, my creative energy just goes off the charts, and before I know it, I have 12 pages of ideas, and I gotta do something with it. So here we are with another party video, even though I promised myself I wasn't gonna do one for autumn, but I couldn't help it. The temptation was too strong. So happy harvest time, happy autumn, happy fall. I cannot wait to show you how this one turned out. It was so much fun. My name is Bethany, and welcome to Joyful Habits. Let's get started. Now, because this party was happening outdoors, I wasn't able to plan too far in advance. I was sitting on pages of ideas and I knew I wanted to have a harvest party, but I really wasn't sure if I would be able to fit it in. But I watched the weather closely, and once I saw that the upcoming weekend promised beautiful weather, I quickly began to message people, and happily they all could make it. So then the countdown began, which was about 3 days. If you saw my blanket fort tea party video, you might remember that was also very last minute, but that's just sorta how it goes when you're planning a party outdoors. Now you might be wondering why I don't make it easier on myself and just plan the party indoors, but the outdoors is so much more magical. I could search the ends of the earth and I would never be able to decorate or find a decor piece that even comes close to the magnificent backdrop of nature, especially during the autumn season. What better backdrop to my tablescape than the golden sunshine fluttering through the dancing colors of autumn? I was able to capture this shot as a huge gust of wind came through and just started shaking leaves free of the trees everywhere. So many leaves were fluttering down that it truly felt like it was snowing, but like the autumn version of snow. Instead of huge fluffy snowflakes, it was colorful leaves fluttering about everywhere. It truly was so magical, and I was so excited that I could capture it on camera and share it with you. Also, even if nature was not extremely magical and wonderful and whimsical and all those things, it's a harvest party, and when I hear harvest party, I think outdoors. I think bobbing for apples and bonfires, hay bales, fiddle music, swing your partner round and round. I don't know where these ideas came from exactly, but in my brain, this is what a harvest party should look like. Let me know in the comments if you feel the same or if you have a very different vision of what a harvest party is. Okay, time to set the table. I'm always a little apprehensive at this stage because I never plan out in advance what my tablescapes are going to look like. Instead, I just go around and gather everything that is even remotely related to the theme and I put it in a big pile. These items could be dishes, florals, random knickknacks, tablecloths, baskets. And then when the day of the party arrives, I just start grabbing from that pile and playing around with the tablescape until I like how it looks. That beautiful 3-piece set of bowls I found at a consignment shop years ago. As soon as I saw them, I immediately thought of autumn. I've also used these small wooden bowls with the matching spoons before. In a few of my other videos, I found those on Amazon. I'll have a link to them in the description box if you are interested. I thought these cute little crock pots would be perfect for serving some hot soup and would be easy for a guest to just grab one and enjoy. I also like the lids because they're perfect for keeping the soup warm and keeping anything from getting into the soup. If you watched my winter tea party video, you'll recognize these cute mini ice cream dishes. I also found these at a consignment shop for something like $3 for the whole set. I'm bringing them out again because my brother's contribution to the party is some homemade apple caramel ice cream, and I thought these little dishes would be perfect for serving that up. I used a glass honey jar that I cleaned out and repurposed to hold some spoons for the ice cream and soup. I thought the large crock pot would be perfect for the apple cider. I actually found this one at the same time I found the mini crock pots, and it even comes with a ladle. To display the s'more kits in a basket, and I was very happy to find this basket, which was the perfect size and shape. Instead of just putting out a bag of marshmallows and some chocolate and a box of graham crackers, I decided to portion everything out and make mini s'more kits for everyone to just grab and enjoy. I thought this would not only look nicer, but just be easier and less messy for everyone. Also, there's just something fun about handing out s'more kits. I thought the deep color of this platter would complement our tablescape really nicely. I think I found this at Hobby Lobby. I loved how it was reflecting the sun and the leaves. It was just so pretty. I don't know if you can see, but leaves kept fluttering down onto the table. It was like the trees were trying to help me decorate. I left most of them because I thought they were actually really nice. And the wooden bowl full of felt leaves are for the games later. I'm just keeping it here on the table as a placeholder for the time being. But the wind was starting to blow away some of the felt leaves, so I put that pumpkin on them to weigh them down. There is nothing quite as magical as firelight, so of course you know I'm pulling out my favorite beeswax candles. If you saw my winter tea party or my summer blanket fort tea party video, you'll remember I used these for both. I knew this event taking place in autumn that we would have less daylight, and later when it's dark and we're all sitting around the campfire, I wanted the food table to have some lighting so people could still see everything when they wanted to grab some food or a drink. But of course I didn't want harsh electric light, so candles it is. Later on in the video, you'll get to see how everything looks in the dark, and the candles added such a lovely warmth. Next, I pulled out some of my favorite autumn florals and decided to start with these leaves. It was a bit breezy, so I needed to make sure everything was tucked under something heavy so as not to blow away. I thought it would be fun to have some leaves sort of whimsically draped over the basket with the s'more kits. Then I placed the rest of the leaves randomly about the table. I then decided to place just a few of those maple leaves about the table as well, for a nice pop of red. Next, I decided to use this bouquet of paper flowers. I love the way these flowers look less formal and more wild and unkept, if that makes sense. Like, instead of a dozen perfect roses, these look like something that could have been picked as you were frolicking through a field of wildflowers. I kept changing my mind on what vase to use, but eventually settled on this larger vase. But it didn't take long before I realized with how windy it was, we needed to weigh the vase down more, and my friend was kind enough to go scavenge some pebbles and rocks to put in the vase. So later on in the video, if you look, you'll notice that there are some rocks in the vase now. I decided to fill the smaller vase with some more of those maple leaves, although later on it blew over and we forgot to put it back. So sadly, later on in the video, it's basically non-existent. But for the time being, I thought these two vases added some very nice height to the tablescape. Mr. Joyful Habits was kind enough to find us some very cute mini pumpkins, which I was very happy to use in our tablescape. I just sort of placed them around the table wherever there was a gap. I do end up moving them around a few more times before the end, but overall I love how they look. My friend was very kind to bring us some beautiful fresh apples along with apple cider donuts and a pie. Which, funny story, I was originally planning on baking either one large apple pie or making a bunch of mini pies. So because of that, I had not asked anyone to bring a pie. However, I ran out of time and was not able to make any pies, so when my friend arrived with a pie, I was very happy. Because I really felt a harvest party was not complete without an apple pie or some kind of pie on the table. And I was very sad that I had not had time to make one. So yes, big shout out to her for saving the day and bringing a pie. Next, we're pulling out our pumpkin-shaped rolls, which I'll show you now how I made those. I started with a basic bread recipe. If you don't have a kitchen scale and you enjoy baking, I definitely recommend getting one. I found this one online for $10, and not only does it help you be more precise with your baking, but it also saves you dishes. Because instead of dirtying a bunch of measuring cups and spoons, I can just pour the ingredients straight into the bowl, and this is especially nice when you're trying to measure things like oil or peanut butter or anything messy like that. So yeah, if you've thought about getting a kitchen scale but you were intimidated by it, definitely don't be. It's very easy to use and really helpful. Once I had made the dough, it was time to knead the bread and then cover it with a damp towel and place it somewhere to rise. I made these 2 days before the party, and on that day it was very gloomy and rainy and windy out. A nice cozy autumn day, perfect for baking. Once the dough is risen, we need to shape them. I'm dividing the dough here into 8 parts. My bench scraper is in storage, so I'm just using a knife to help me divide the dough. Once we have divided the dough, albeit a little unevenly, we now need to shape them. This is a technique my grandmother taught me years ago when I would help her make rolls for Thanksgiving dinner. The recipe we used for Thanksgiving rolls is much different than this one, but I figured the same technique would probably work for shaping. Now usually at this point I would just cover the rolls and place them somewhere warm for their second rise. But because we want them shaped like pumpkins, we need to add one more step. I have some baking twine here and I decided to just wrap it around the roll a bunch until I had a pumpkin shape. Now I made the mistake for the first couple rolls of not greasing the twine, which I think would have helped a lot later on when it came time to remove the twine. I did luckily remember to grease the twine after my third or fourth one, I think, and decided to coat it in olive oil. Our cute little pumpkin rolls. Now we'll cover them and once again give them time to poof up before baking them. Pulling them out of the oven, I thought they came out really nice. I do think next time I'll break them up into 12 rolls instead of 8 and make them a little smaller. I tried removing the twine from one of them and it started to rip it apart pretty badly. I don't know if it's one of the ones I had greased or not greased, but I decided to not try and take the twine off any others because not only was it making them not look as nice, but I was also worried it would cause the bread to dry out more quickly. So I decided to just leave it and told my friends to treat it like a pull apart bread, telling them they could pull little pieces off one by one and enjoy bite-sized bread pieces. Which everyone said worked fine, so that's good, because I was a little disheartened when the twine was sticking so much and tearing our pumpkin-shaped bread apart. Next food item on our list, pumpkin chocolate chip muffins. This is a recipe I make pretty much every year during this time, and I've tried 3 or 4 variations of the same recipe, but they're all basically the same except for some slight variations in the spices that are added. The spices in this recipe add a really nice touch to the pumpkin flavor, and of course, who doesn't enjoy some chocolate? Overall, a great dessert and a perfect grab-and-go item for a party like this one. Once again, I'm using my scale and we're starting with our dry ingredients in a bowl and then whisking them until well combined. In a separate bowl, we're going to combine our pumpkin puree, sugar, milk, I'm using soy milk here, vanilla, which I'm using vanilla paste, then we add some melted coconut oil and mix everything together. We're going to spoon the dry ingredients into the wet ingredients slowly, 1 spoonful at a time. Once everything is well mixed, we add another spoonful and continue to mix until we're left with just a few spoonfuls of the flour left. At this point, I like to add my chocolate chips to the dry ingredients and give them a good toss before putting them in with everything else. I find this just helps the chocolate chips incorporate more evenly into the batter. Now we're ready to pull out a muffin tin and some cupcake liners. I really like using this brand. They're unbleached and compostable, so a little nicer for our health and the beautiful world outside. I also like that these are brown paper color because it fits our rustic harvest theme so well. So win-win all around. I'm sure you've heard of this trick before, but in case you haven't, using an ice cream scoop like you see me using here is so much easier for scooping batter than just using a regular spoon. Not only is it less messy, but it also ensures that each scoop is the same size. Let them bake, and once they're done, enjoy your warm, fresh out of the oven, spiced pumpkin chocolate chip muffins. next item on the menu, pumpkin-shaped pastries, which ended up being a complete fail. So I then last minute had to quickly make something else pumpkin. But before we get there, let's start with what I had originally planned, which were puff pastries filled with a sort of pumpkin pie filling and shaped like a pumpkin. Using a hand mixer, I whipped together some cream cheese, pumpkin puree, vanilla, sugar, and spices for the filling. Then, using this fun little pumpkin press, I started to cut out pumpkin shapes with the puff pastry, filled them with the filling, put the two sides together, and baked them. This is what I got. They tasted great, but definitely not that pretty. The pumpkin shape was barely recognizable and they poofed up just a little too much. I thought about trying again and seeing if I could get better results, but considering how time-consuming the process was and the low success rate, I decided to scrap the entire idea and come up with something else. So it's now the morning of the party and I decided to make mini pumpkin pies. I greased a muffin tin and lined them with some pie crust and then filled them with the pumpkin pie filling. I used some of the extra pie crust to cut out some leaves and place them on top as decoration. I sadly didn't have enough pie crust to do this with each one, but I was able to make a fair amount. I'll have the leaf stencil I used in the description box below if you want to try this at home. Really easy to use and a fun way to decorate your pies and other pastries. I had two people tell me later that the mini pies were their favorite, so I'm kind of glad my first plan fell through because not only did these still taste great, but I loved how they looked on the table. Oh, and look who showed up again, Mr. B! You might remember him from our summer tea party video. I guess he enjoyed that party so much he decided to come back for more. I wasn't sure what to put in this last bowl here, so I decided to fill it with some more fresh apples. My brother was nice enough to run to the store for me and grab us some Reese's Pieces. I thought this would add a nice pop of color to the table. Our tablescape is pretty much done at this point. I had originally planned to put up a large fabric banner that said Happy Harvest Day on it and tie it up between two trees. But we ran out of time, maybe the next harvest party. Well, guests are beginning to arrive, which means the party is ready to begin. I planned some fun games for the party and wanted to have some kind of grand prize for the winner. You might remember that bowl of felt leaves you saw earlier. Well, my plan was that each time someone won a game, they would receive one of the felt leaves. Then at the end of the day, whoever had collected the most would win the grand prize. I offered a bonus point to anyone who could catch a leaf mid-air as it fell from a tree before it hit the ground, which if you never tried that, I definitely recommend. It's harder than it sounds and a lot of fun. Well, anyway, I was racking my brain trying to come up with what the grand prize would be. I didn't want it to be anything too serious. Just something fun and silly. And that's when I came up with the idea to grab a few leaves I had pressed and draw cute little faces on them. It's super silly, but that's what I wanted, and I knew no one would guess what the prize was. I put the little leaf people in this cute box and tied it up with a brown ribbon. I'll have these gift boxes linked in the description box if you're interested. I wrote a long list of game ideas for the party, not necessarily expecting we'd have time for all of them, but wanting to have plenty of ideas on hand in case there was a lull and people needed something to do. I wanted to plan games that were silly and fun and that I knew would most likely get people laughing. Some of the games I chose included the classic potato sack race as well as a three-legged race, bobbing for apples, although we sadly didn't get to this one, a race where you had to balance an apple on your head, musical chairs, as well as a modified game of tag. There also ended up being some dancing and spontaneous sword fighting, as well as seeing who could punch an apple mid-air as it was thrown to them. Overall, it was a fun and silly time, just as I had hoped it would be. The games are over, everyone is loosened up and relaxed, a little tired and hungry. There's lots of conversation and laughter happening, lively music is playing, and that tells me it is time to light the candles and start gathering around the fire with some food, as well as pour some apple cider, which I forgot to do earlier. Lighting the candles was the finishing touch, and I was so happy with how everything was coming together. It just felt so special and just how I had envisioned it. It's always so nice standing back and watching my friends enjoy their time. Feels good to see them laughing and enjoying the games I planned, or smiling as they bite into one of my pumpkin muffins, and hearing everyone chatting and laughing, it just made my heart very happy. Bringing us some plates for the pie because I remembered spoons but sort of forgot that we need something to put the slice of pie on when we eat it. And of course I have to do my obligatory spin behind my finished tablescape. I started doing that in my last party video and I think I'll just make it a tradition now. Over the years, I've hosted many themed parties, everything from Christmas parties, harvest parties, blanket fort, onesie party, murder mystery dinners, Hawaiian luau's, and I've only recently begun filming them and putting them here on YouTube. But over the years, no matter what the theme of the party, my goal has never been to make a cool party. Well, I don't know, I think they're cool, but my goal is and has always been with all the get-togethers I've arranged to create a space where my friends feel welcome and comfortable, relaxed, accepted and loved, truly loved, not that fake friend stuff where you just stick to polite weather talk, but where everyone can truly relax and just talk. Truly talk, whether that's about happy things, funny things, serious things. A space where no one has to put on a front or try to be something they're not or try to put on a show, but just be themselves. And my other big goal is to create a space and circumstances for my friends that bring out the child in them. This is why I focus so much on whimsical details that are completely unnecessary but so fun, and why I plan games and activities and music that encourages fun. Games that will bring out the silly and make people laugh. My friend mentioned when we were setting up for the three-legged race that this was something she had not done since grade school. And that's exactly what I'm going for. I want to give my friends a space and an excuse to be a kid again, and to do fun, silly things they haven't done since they were kids. Because I truly believe that my friends, people, the world, they don't need another place to be cool or try to be cool or to feel self-conscious. They don't need another space to party. The world has plenty of those. I think this world desperately needs more space to dream and not take life so seriously, to laugh, to smile, to love and feel love, to be silly, to do things for no logical reason, but just because it makes you smile. A place to play, good old-fashioned, innocent, wholesome fun. I think the world needs more of that. And so with every gathering, that is what is running in the back of my mind as I plan the decor and the menu and the music and the games. When my friends arrive, I want them to be surprised. I want to see their eyes fill with wonder and a big smile appear on their face. Like they've just seen something from a fairy tale pop out of the pages and appear before them in real life, and now they get to be a part of it. As my friends arrive, I always make sure to greet them enthusiastically and welcome them, and I also try to get them in on the action immediately. Whether that's a "here, help me set up," or "go grab a potato sack and get ready for the race," or encourage them to try the food. And I don't consciously think of this, it just sort of comes naturally to me, because I truly want my friends, each of them, to feel special and appreciated and loved, because they are. And I want them to be relaxed and happy. I want them to take a deep breath and leave the stresses of the modern, busy world and their hectic workday behind them and forget about their age, if only for a short time. And if I can give them that time to do that, that makes me very happy. Music also plays such a big part in setting the tone. For this harvest party gathering, I chose upbeat fiddle music like what you might imagine the hobbits dancing to at Bilbo's 111th birthday. Then as the night started to wind down and games were done and people were congregating around the fire, I changed the music to more relaxing, almost sentimental tone, in hopes of encouraging my guests to relax and, feel the love, the friendship, the camaraderie. It's hard to explain, so hopefully I'm making sense. And then we ended the night with Hobbit Shire music, which I can't actually play in the video because of copyright. But it was lovely to sit around the fire with friends and listen to that beautiful Irish tin whistle and just, it felt very magical. There was a very magical, almost nostalgic feeling in the air. Okay, and that was the harvest party. I really enjoyed myself, and from what I heard, I think everybody else did too. If you enjoyed today's video, definitely check out my party planning playlist where I put together, just realized party planning, those all start with a P. That was not purposeful. Check out my triple P playlist. If you enjoyed today's video, definitely check out my party planning playlist where I put all the videos like this in one spot for you to enjoy. And if you just enjoy autumn content in general, I also have an autumn playlist, so check that out as well. And if you're not already, please consider subscribing so you don't miss future videos. And let me know, do you have any ideas of what you might do differently, what you might have added or taken away, or what was your favorite part of the party? Did you enjoy the games or the bonfire or the food or the tablescape, or just kind of let me know your thoughts, because again, I love to hear from you. And as always, my name is Bethany, and this is Joyful Habits, where we daydream and add just a touch of whimsy to the ordinary. I'll see you all very soon, and until then, don't forget to smile. Bye, friends.
1, 2, 3. We get 10, 4.
Ready? We're gonna go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2.
Perfect.
That good?